So why knowing what you want is important? It's really important in every area of your life. And in a lot of therapeutic practices, it's something that they will work a lot with people and help them discern what it is they want. So if you're in conflict, like helping discern what it is you want from that conflict, what is you want, what do you want to get from it? Yeah, in your work, in your relationships. If you don't acknowledge what you want what you want in a day, then nothing will happen. Or what will happen is life will happen to you in a way, not in a non-dual way, but like life will have its will, you know, someone will come in and ask you to do this or to do that, and you'll be following life's events, which that's okay actually to do that. But even acknowledging that that's what you want, I think, is important. And the reason why it's important in terms of non-duality is because they say, and I suspect there is some relative truth in this, that in order to wake up, to become free, there has to be desire for that. And that has to be your ultimate number one desire. But just as a disclaimer, life is infinite possibilities. And so there is also the possibility that that doesn't have to happen. But I suspect that happens in a lot of cases, is that the desire to be free becomes so strong, it overtakes everything else and surpasses everything else. And yeah, that is important, it seems. Papaji would say, I really love this saying, like to really burn in the feeling of wanting to be free, to really revel in it, it kind of turns into freedom. If you let it take over everything, it becomes freedom. And this is kind of like the Tantric or Bhakti path. Because inside that desire to be free, there has to be freedom. Because in order to want anything, you have to know what it is you want. So in order to want freedom, there is the knowing of what freedom is as your goal. So if you totally let that take over, the desire to be free, you get eaten up into freedom. I love that pointing from Papaji. I think it's so beautiful. And it's kind of like the Tantric or Bhakti path where, you know, you love the teacher or you love an idol to its absolute max until it eats you up. And it might start the loving of the idol, the loving of the teacher, by wanting the teacher to give you attention, by wanting to be with the teacher. So it starts with a seeking, with a wanting. But then eventually you get eaten up by that. It becomes so strong that the desire to want the idol or the teacher disappears and you just become that love itself. Maybe I'll just explain a little bit more about the Bhakti or Tantric path. And please know that there are so many paths out there. I'm just describing some of the Bhakti paths and some of the Tantric paths. So there's like, you've heard Tantra being something different. That's because there's as many paths and more as people listening to this video in Tantra or in Bhakti. But my understanding of a particular path is that you love, so for the Tantric path, from my understanding of that, is you take an image, an idol, a guru, a teacher, that naturally evokes love in you. So you naturally admire or love. And that might even be romantic love. And you love it without trying to take anything from it. And when I say take anything from it, I mean without trying to get it or own it. That's normally what the person does. It loves something and then it tries to pop it in its pocket. What's those little dolls called? Polly Pockets. Oh, I like that. How much money to get you in my pocket? Just shrink to a tiny size and then I'll keep you with you all the time and then I'll get bored of you. But in the tantric path, it's like, so you have this love and it's not about getting the teacher, the lover, the idol, whatever it is that you have that love for. It's not about owning it. It's about evoking that love for it. And you evoke the love for it until the love becomes really strong. And then you begin to move that love onto other things. So then when you're by yourself, you imagine your teacher, image, idol, and evoke the love in yourself. And then you begin to put that onto other objects. So you pick up your cup and you see the cup as the idol, as the teacher, as the lover, whatever. And you move it to the radiator, the window, the wall, the floor, the seat, the leg. Then it gets more complex. The mother, the father, the children. So you move this love to the friends, to all humans, to people you don't know, to your enemies. And you slowly build it and build it so you can evoke the image of the, we're just going to call it teacher or idol. You feel that love and you can evoke it on call. And this can take many years, some would say lifetimes, to really, do that. Then, when the love is so strong that it's seen in everything, and it burns away the boundary between you and the other. And then there is a collapsing into no mind. Because true love is without boundary. So it burns the boundary. It's so beautiful. I did this practice when I was a child or a teenager. Sort of, I don't know what age I started. Could be somewhere from 10 to 13, maybe even younger, 9. I can't remember. Maybe other times you've heard me telling it, I've had a memory of when it was, but now in this moment, I can't. My memory is like jello or jelly in UK English. English people are like, what is wrong with her? Jello? We don't say jello. Yeah. And I've told this story many times to people that have listened before, was I started doing this meditation, although I didn't even know that word at that age. This is prior to the internet starting in the 90s. Well, I mean, I think the internet was starting, but prior to me having access to it. So I would go and sit in the lounge. Well, not always, wherever I could get music, wherever the CD player was or the tape player was. And I would put on the headphones and I would lay there and I would imagine a boyfriend or a girlfriend that I wanted. And I would imagine details of it, all the details of it. And I would listen to the music. And as I did that, it evoked more and more love in me. As I imagined the details and what we'd do and where we'd go. And then eventually it evoked so much love in me that I would just start loving, and I no longer needed the image of the person. And then I think this wrecked my future relationships, because I then deeply knew, before I even had relationships, that I could have the love I wanted from the relationship by imagining it. It's a disaster. So you start the relationship and you know you can have it with or without them. I think this did have like a negative impact, positive and negative, yeah, impact on my partners. I think when I began to get into spirituality, it was positive, but prior to that, they would think maybe I didn't care so much or enough for them. But it was just that I knew so deeply that what I wanted wasn't found in them. And that was all I wanted, was that love. That was like the ultimate. Yeah. So that's a really beautiful practice. And I think that that's, in a way, you know, what Papaji is suggesting. It's like you want something so much. And in the imagination of the partner for me, there was love. So there was what I wanted. But this is the separation. My mind imagined me loving them. Whereas that love is my essence. And it was, as the imagination grew, the seeking was dissipating, ironically, because the love was getting stronger in me. And as the love got stronger in me, the seeking dissipated more and more until it collapsed, and then there was just love. And there was no me in relationship with. This totally changed the course of my life. But maybe it didn't. Maybe there was only ever one course. It's funny, isn't it, the way that we have language? Yeah. There was no other course. So knowing what you want is important. And they say, I don't say this because in the end, I don't really know. Like, my greatest gift that I can give as a teacher is that I am here. I am this. This is, and that doesn't really come with knowledge. That comes with stillness. It comes with peace. It comes with no mind. It comes with emptiness. Words can come out of that, and then there's relative knowledge in Lisa's body, and words can come out of that. But in the end, I don't really know what leads to what. But it seems logical, and from my understanding, and it feels right, the words coming out. But I would say that most people, in order for waking up to happen in their story, there needs to be the intense desire for it. So it's the only desire. You know, so you're not battling between wanting to be a famous artist or a famous computer programmer or super rich and freedom. Not battling between wanting to be a parent and freedom. Freedom is the absolute number one. Not battling between being a good child and freedom. Freedom is over everything. That's intense. Non-duality isn't therapy. This isn't self-help. This isn't about you having a better life. This is the dissolving of you. It's a really intense subject. If you're here because you want more freedom, I think non-duality can give more, taken in the right light, in the right way, it can help the person. And a lot of the yogic practices can help the person. But it's really going beyond the person. And for most people, that has to be an intense want for this. No other want. There can be other wants, but no other wants compare to it. Yeah. Sometimes when I first start working with people, they don't know what they want. And to know what you want really, it has to be beyond the mind. No, it has to be beyond thought. So to me, your true wants come in as an initial feeling, and then it gets interpreted into thought. And often your wants become all diluted when you're not in contact with the feeling of the want, and you're in your stories, and then it turns into seeking, and it's about you, and it's like totally discombobulated. So to me, God speaks through us first of all, through feeling, and then there's an interpretation into thought. So if you want to get in contact with your wants, you have to get in contact with the body, and then this is actually beautiful. And as you get in contact with the body and really know the body, you begin to discover there is no body, and then you could say it's everything's want. So it's life or everything's want. It's beautiful. So a lot of teachers, I know that Adyashanti, he would say you have to go from the mind to the heart. And my interpretation of that is there has to be a dropping out of the narrator. Most people are just narrators, and the body is like some sort of like jellyfish that's like flopping along for the experience. You know, you're like all head, and then you're suddenly like, oh, I have a leg. Oh, there is a stomach. And so there has to be a reintegration into the body. So your personal awareness is not just totally absorbed into thinking. The personal awareness is predominantly in the body, and then goes up into thought when thought is needed, and imagining when imagining is needed. Most people are the other way around, especially in Western society. It is everything is thought, and then the body is like some tag along jellyfish. So, yes. And eventually, when you go down to the body, then there's the next stage of discovering there is no body. But you can't go from, well, some people can, because this is a life of ultimate possibilities, every possibility, endless possibilities. But most people, you have to go from the mind to the body to nobody. Most people try to go from the mind to nobody, and it's not going to work, because you've got to come out of imagining, and you've got to realign with what's actually here, which is the body, to realize it's not here. Yeah. All these talks are just so double Dutch, eh? I try to keep it simple, but it never works. That's why we have questions and answers, so you can like be like, what the heck? What does that even mean? And I can be like, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know is such a profound and beautiful answer. And it's really scoffed upon from a lot of people. They're like, it's a really feminine, beautiful answer. And it's seen as stupidity. It's seen as ignorance. It's seen as low. Or I don't know, it's such humility, it's such giving. Because what do any of us know in the end? we're all sitting here like innocent children. I don't know, like there's just complete innocence, and then these thoughts come up and appear, and the trouble begins when we take them to be a reality rather than an appearance. But our essence really is not knowing. So a lot of the teachers, which is really beautiful because it's often needed to push out all the arrogance of the student, but a lot of teachers really sound like they know something, including most probably me. But but actually, what do we know? Yeah, we know this stuff about seeking because we've been through this apparent process in time, and that appears. And then words appear in the very moment, in the very instant, from nothing being in the way. But then in this absolute mystery of what we are, what do we know? What do we know? I don't know why the suns, why the skies, and the trees, why the speaking happens and the eyes see. We have these like limited scientific explanations, but actually it's really quite miraculous when we sit here and we step back from what we think we know. And we're I don't know if I've got anything else to say. I'm done early today. Yes, if you have any questions, I don't even know if there's anyone watching. I'm streaming early. If you have any questions, you can write it in Telegram chat. If you want to join the Telegram group, you can find out how to do that on my website. And then you can ask questions through the stream. It is actually, I want it to be free, but it isn't actually free. It's free for anyone that's been to an event of mine in the last 5 or 6 years. But if you haven't, then you have to donate something so we can identify you. So the point is security to identify people. But if you really can't afford it, I think the minimum donation on my Stripe settings, I don't think you can have less than €3. If you can't afford that, then we can refund it to you, but we need to capture your identity to keep security. Yeah. So you can join that, but you can always watch the videos for free on YouTube afterwards.